It should go by the Succession Act. And they can say that you provide whatever is required under the Succession Act. So I just can't understand how the bank can refuse to even entertain this.
You probably have the ear of the RBI and the ministry. This is exactly the point that we have been making to the RBI. Our study will show that every couple of years, when the number of complaints mount, there'll be a motherhood statement notification from RBI. Treat nominees well, don't delay, treat people well without coming up with SOPs. We made a presentation to the Kanungo committee that also stopped short. It doesn't say, what RBI issues has the force of law. You tell IBA to do it and you call it model operating procedures, it has no sanctity whatsoever. And as both of them have said, if you do not complete so and so in 7 days, and if you ask anything more than these forms, if you try and increase your number of deposits by telling the claimant, I will not transfer the money to another bank account that you have, you open an FD here and you have to keep the money here. This kind of mischief will stop when there are very clear SOPs, the form is clear, and there is a consequence to the branch manager or whoever is adding these points. Why is it so difficult for us to get this message across to the RBI, and is there some way we can do it?
What I would suggest is we'll have a separate chat on this. If you can put this into something that we could do, I'll first discuss with IBA so that we have them on our side. Let's see what they have, and then take the next step to it. Because this particular thing, which is so vexatious, where the branch manager says you open an FD or in the same branch and things like that. In today's world, again, digital world, this is an anachronism that he's trying to foist on somebody who's already under his own burden, which it doesn't make any sense.
An unreasonable request. I took a case all the way to the SBI chairman where there was a family, a lady made a will. She has 2 sons, both live in New Zealand. She had divided the property equally between 2 sons. She had 2 bank lockers, her bank accounts, everything was in the will. She forgot about 1 bank locker. Okay? And so the son said there is no other heir, there is no other claimant, rest of it was distributed. This 1 bank locker allow us to open. They didn't even know if there was anything of value. They suspect that a few property documents will be there. So it was an important locker, right? After going all the way to the chairman SBI, they refused to listen. And these 2 were in India for the death rights for a certain number of months. They've gone back, they're going to come 2 years later. So SBI is going to have that locker locked up. It could have re-rented it. But nowhere in the system. And we went from the regional manager, first the branch manager, to the regional manager, then the PRO, because we could do that fight. They did not listen. And if this happens when people like us and Moneylife are fighting it to this extent, there are thousands and lakhs of cases because of the lack of SOPs where people are not getting what is rightfully theirs, and so it's dormant and it's inactive, then it goes into debt, then it becomes harder. I mean, RBI just has to wake up, and maybe the finance ministry has to tell them, this number can't keep increasing. I mean, 1 lakh crore plus is just waiting to get into DEF in addition to 78,000 crore. That itself is going to be nearly 2 lakh crore, because this 1 lakh crore that I'm talking about doesn't include SBI, which is the biggest of them all. I mean, this is not a situation. We'll ultimately probably try filing another PIL. But I find even that is pointless, because then that will drag on for another 10 years or 15 years. We're never going to have a solution unless people think with their hearts rather than, just their heads.
But this particular case to me is, as a layperson, I'm not even thinking of its banker. We certainly can think on this. Okay, as I know, in the will, there is a general thing that anything not mentioned here is fine. And if there are only 2 children, then it was straightforward. That the bank should have taken notice of that. For some reason, let's assume that 1 line was missing in the will, then it should go by the Succession Act. And they can say that you provide whatever is required under the Succession Act. So I just can't understand how the bank can refuse to even entertain this.
Sir, on the lockers, if you look at what RBI has laid down in its circular, and I think Mr. Joby will be better able to tell that. But even if there are joint locker holders, my understanding of how the locker regulations work. If there are joint locker holders, one of them dies, right? Then it has to be opened and inventory taken. Okay, even though they are joint. So we are not even talking of a nominee now. We are talking of a joint holder. So what do people do, sir? So jugaad. Okay, so people don't inform the bank about the death. The second the joint holder goes, he is allowed or she is allowed to go. They go, empty out the locker. Okay, I mean, what we are doing, sir, is that this has become a complete jugaad economy. The entire succession and the, sir, you are aware of the disability, we have not yet discussed disability. That's become completely jugaad, sir. And the issue, as you know, sir, that it's not a priority for the banks. I mean, or for anybody for that matter, any intermediary, because he is saying ki I want to do my business. Okay. And by not doing anything about this, this continues with me, the assets continue with me. Why should I sort of go out of my way and help people unless, Moneylife takes it up, somebody else takes it up? Why should they go out? There is no incentive for them, sir.
And there is no punishment.
And there is no punishment. That could have been, there is no disincentive either.
There should be a penalty. Only then there will be effective.
Which is why SOPs, with a penalty like SEBI has done. Which is exactly why we have such high praise for the fact that SEBI has done it. You have to only these documents and nothing else.